Welcome to round 4 of the Parenting Roundabout podcast for the week of August 16th. I'm Terry Morrow, and I'm here with Nicole Eridix.
Hello.
And Catherine Haleko.
Hello.
As moms of teens and young adults, we've survived those little kid days, yet we're still rethinking the decisions we've made all through our kids' lives and worrying about what's going on right now. Today's Thursday, which means it's time to give in to our obsessing. And today we are obsessing about back-to-school prep. It's that time of year when families are stocking up on pencils and buying new shoes and unearthing lunchboxes from the back of the pantry and hoping there's no food left in them for them over the summer. So we're talking today about what surprising or unexpected advice we have for the impending start of school. Well, if I'm talking to my fellow special education parents, I would say, this is the time to start making phone calls, get your IEP out, look at all the things that were promised the last time you sat in that meeting, and call up the special ed office and say, hey, got that paraprofessional? Got that car seat on the school bus? Got that physical therapist hired and everything? We got all our services that we're supposed to have? And if they say, well, we're working on it, then you call the next day and the next day and the next day. As I think I've said here before, I once called every day for a month. And finally, my son got the paraprofessional he had been promised. So sometimes, it's not all about going and buying fun notebooks. It's about nagging people to death. So get on it. Don't wait. Because once your kid is in school and the thing isn't there, then, the timer is really running.
Mm-hmm. Well, Catherine, you had one, didn't you, that you had brought up?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I feel like this is something you see in parenting magazines, but, start acclimating kids to the schedule of having to get up early.
That's a real
honestly,
thing.
yourself, I mean, I definitely sleep later on mornings if I don't have to take my kids somewhere. So I also may need a little adjustment in that area. So just, especially if kids have been way off on how much later they're sleeping than they would on a school day. It helps to try to transition that pretty slowly. So my kids and I were never that great at that effort, because they're very much like, but I don't have to be up at 6 o'clock tomorrow. So why in the world would I go to bed early?
That's such a good point.
So,
yeah.
Well, for me, it was the grocery shopping, trying to get the food for the lunches.
Oh.
It wasn't so much about my kids. I had to start to go back to buying the snacks and the carrot sticks and all those things that you didn't have to buy over the summer.
Right.
So
and honestly, if I were really organized, I would plan some of the dinners too for those first week or two of school.
Yeah,
everything's a little crazy anyway. So it certainly would help if you have some stuff, at least planned, if not already made. Better yet. So because there's a lot of getting used to new scheduling, new timing.
Right.
Yeah.
I think we've talked about this before, that every season I sort of forget what I used to wear every day. And, you've got to get back in that habit.
Make sure you have shoes.
Make sure you have shoes. Make sure your kids have shoes.
Yes.
That fit.
Yeah.
Know when they're going to take their school picture, for their ID or just for their school picture, because it used to be weeks in, but now a lot of times it's on the first day or even before the first day.
Oh,
so
my kids' school, they would use the photo from the year before.
Oh.
And then they would take next year's photo, at the end of the year of that year. But it was always such a bummer because they're like, why do I have to have that picture? It's a year old.
Right.
So strange.
Yeah. My son's school this year literally had a sign-up genius for an entire 2,000 kids worth to come in 15-minute increments and get their pictures taken.
Oh,
so
wow.
on the plus side, you can choose the time that you prefer because it's before school starts. But I mean, when I tell you how far down I had to scroll on this sign up genius.
Really?
There's 2,000 kids. It was just funny to me that this was the best system that they had.
You want to look at the first name on the list and go, that mom. That mom was on it immediately. I hate her.
Yeah.
She was the alpha mom.
Well, when I was, certainly not in later years, but when I was working, it was always the whole, getting the kids ready for daycare and after school care. So it wasn't just about making sure they had all their school supplies. It was about making sure that they had all the stuff that they needed for daycare, like the change of clothes and the extra shoes and the water bottle and the sunscreen and the hat. And it's just a whole other thing that we had to deal with and make sure that just arranging to make sure that the drop-off time was correct and the pickup time and the days they were going to be there. And, it was I don't miss those days at all. Not at all. Because both of my kids went to an actual daycare. They didn't go to, they went to daycare centers. They didn't, they didn't go to somebody's home or anything. So it was always very formal.
Right.
So, yeah, that was an extra step that was needed in my life.
A little bit of stress.
Yeah. And then I had to get the car because I was teaching, right? So my school year, my job coincided with the kids' school year. So I always kind of equate, at least in the earlier days, I always equate them going back to school with me getting ready to go back to school too.
Sure.
So there's this whole list of stuff that I had to take care of in addition to their stuff. So yeah, it just it was endless.
Yeah, it's a big adjustment.
Yep. And then making sure that everything's on the calendar, right? Making sure that you have all your dates plugged in, and you sign all the forms. Making sure that all those forms get signed.
Oh, right. Yeah, and check I feel like every school year the time changed. When you had to be there, it changed just by 5 minutes or 3 minutes or whatever it was. Yeah. But there was always be aware that this is when school starts, when you have to be there. So
yeah, I was talking about all the special ed things to call about, and one that's sometimes difficult to do is if you have a kid who takes the special ed bus, as my kids did for a number of years, you always want to call, if you could find the number of the bus people, call and make sure your kid is on the list. So you don't get all excited and dressed up for the first day of school and then nobody comes.
No bus.
You either have to jump in the car or it happens. It happens. And so I would just always call and say, I want to make sure they're on the list. You have the right address. What time about will it be or whatever. But it's one of those things. Nobody ever calls them. So nobody necessarily has their number. It's hard to find out who to call. So, if somebody found it out, they would spread it around. So that's, if you do have a kid that has transportation that comes to the house, make sure ahead of time that you're on the list. Because, it's human beings. Mistakes get made for all sorts of different reasons. Right. And it's just very sad.
Yes.
Just to be waiting and waiting.
Aww. All dressed up.
Yeah.
Ready
and
for
your mom
that
has
first
to
day.
Swear and find the keys and put on shoes and get in the car and take you over there. And all the other kids are already there.
Well, and we haven't even
you too can prevent.
touched on the topic of getting ready for college preparation.
Oh, goodness.
We have 3 bedrooms on our top floor, and they are all full of my daughter's college-related stuff to go back. And she says, and I'm not even taking that many suitcases as I did the first time around. The first time around, we took so many suitcases. But yeah, it's the stuff that is laid out and ready to get packed. It's unbelievable. I don't remember packing that much for college. I don't remember getting that much ready for college.
Yes, and in our house, the preparing the child involved getting a new TV for us, quote unquote, us, my husband,
right,
so that she could take the old TV with her.
Oh, right, of course, yes.
Yeah.
When they go through and forage things from your house,
yes,
and then you have to replace it.
There's a lot of things that I would not be sorry to see go.
Would you like this, honey? And they're like, no, thank you. Are you sure? I'd like a new one.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, I don't even want a new one. I just want one less of a one.
One less. We always just had community college here, so our back to college tradition was getting their schedule and then going over to the college and walking to all the different classrooms to know where they were and to time how long it took from the cafeteria or wherever they would be starting, and just making sure that they knew where stuff was. That was always kind of fun. I like that. We would make, go have lunch and then walk around. And it's nice that you can do that in colleges, not so much in other schools. But we would sometimes, even in like middle school and high school, we would sometimes negotiate to have the kids go into the school early and see where their classes would be and find their way around.
Yeah, they usually do that.
That's worth calling about if you have kids who might have some difficulty orienting themselves.
Our school does it. Our high school and middle schools, actually.
Makes a big difference.
Yeah.
It's real helpful.
Just
because it's like our high school, especially when school is in session, there's like they call the main central hallway the mosh pit because it's so crowded. So if you can just go there and walk around without 1,000 kids, it's very helpful. And your mother, who is nosy and wants to know every single thing about your day, can also see. It's important.
Well,
she's high strung.
Whether you are preparing for a new school year or not, well, actually, no. If you are preparing for a new school year, we wish you the best of luck. If you're not preparing for a new school year, then we say congratulations.
Have an extra bonbon and a cup of coffee.
Yes.
Celebrate.
And watch the neighborhood children head off on the bus, and you don't have to worry about that. So, and have a good school year. I think that's the ultimate. So that's it for today's round 4. Tune in tomorrow when we'll share our roundup of things we've been using or enjoying lately that we think deserve a shout out. Find all our episodes at parentingroundabout.com and talk back in the comments there, on our Facebook page, or on Twitter, where you'll find us at Roundabout Chat.